Good morning, everyone. This is Josiah with a brief morning message that I hope you will find uplifting. Lest we forget. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. In the Declaration, this section is followed by a long list of specific grievances against the British Crown, and I would encourage you to read them in full when you get a chance. But for now, let me summarize the situation by saying that at the time it was written, the colonies were primarily fighting for the right to establish an independent economic destiny. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, and it was the goal of the British elite to establish monopolies on the new methods of production unleashed by the Industrial Revolution. In the world envisioned by the imperial rulers, the colonies were to play clearly defined and clearly limited economic roles. They were to serve as a source of raw materials for these newly automated production lines. These raw materials would be produced by slave labor and by indentured servants. The colonies would also serve as captive markets, as pressure relief valves for when the domestic British markets experienced glut. That is to say, they had too many products. The workers were too poor to buy back the products being made. The prosperity and industrial development of the colonies stood in direct contradiction to the monopolistic financial interests of the British imperial system. So, while it is good to understand the specific list of grievances and the specific crimes committed against the colonies by the British Empire listed in the Declaration, they all boil down to one single economic reality. You are holding us back. You are keeping us underdeveloped and poor so that you can remain rich, not through work, not through innovation, but through theft, mass kidnapping, mass enslavement, murder, and usury. So after listing their grievances, the declaration continues. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So, brothers and sisters, fellow Americans, while it is true that the spiritual successor of the wicked British imperial economic system has taken up residence in Washington, D.C., in the corporate boardrooms, and in the universities of this country, it is also true that the spirit of 1776 is alive and well all across this land. The efforts to divide the hard-working, ingenious, righteous people of this country will fail, and they will fail soon. Brothers and sisters, the new republic is being born as we speak. If you start to look for the signs, you will see them everywhere. God bless you.